Hello, gardening from scratch. I'm just plugging in my computer real quick here. Oh, so don't go dead on me. Oh, goodness. So how has your weekend been? Hello, Cindy. Welcome. Thank you. Yep, it's getting there. Oh, how fun. Thanksgiving early with the family. That is great. Hey, Peggy. Welcome. It was actually kind of lovely today. It was very sunny. Still a little cool, but it was decent outside. We were able to do a few things that we needed to do out there today. Of course, it's getting down close to freezing again tonight, and everything was slightly frozen this morning, but wasn't too bad. Wasn't too bad. And it wasn't really, I don't think there was any wind to speak of today, so that's always nice. Hello, Creating Essence. Welcome. Because cold weather is not too bad, but when it's windy, that's when it's very unpleasant in my book. You get that wind chill factor happening. Yeah. We were able to go out and do a couple things in the woods that we needed to do today. Some of our prep for hunting season. There's a couple other things that still need to happen, but since our other son, Joshua, our older son, will be in town visiting, and since he's one of the people that's going to be out there hunting, we're going to put him to work, and he can help do what needs to be done. So, yeah, windy weather is never pleasant, not in the cold, because that's when it just cuts right through you. That was one of the things about where we lived when we were in Alaska. You know, it's of course very cold up there, but in the Fairbanks area, because it's in this valley and it's surrounded by all these mountains, it's actually a little bit sheltered. So you might have -30, -40 degrees, but there was almost never wind, which was fantastic. But when there was wind, it was brutal. So what did everybody have for supper tonight? If you have eaten supper, if you have not had supper, what are you going to have tonight? We actually did a little bit of a breakfast for dinner tonight. I was inspired, and we had waffles. I made 2 different kinds of waffles. I made the traditional waffles for Mr. Smith and for Jack, our son, and then I played around with a recipe that was grain-free, some waffles for me that are considered paleo. Still got a little tweaking to do with that. The taste was good, but I have to figure out the cooking time for them, and I might actually I might actually need to get like one of those cast iron waffle griddles, because I think that particular kind of waffle needs to cook slower to get cooked all the way through. But it was good. It was good. I slathered chuck steaks and chimichurri and grilled them, sliced super thin, then had steamed broccoli on the side. That sounds fantastic. Yum. We are eating leftovers from Thanksgiving. Absolutely. I think leftover day, the day after Thanksgiving, is the best day for the food, because you just get to enjoy everything that you made without any of the work. You just get to relax and enjoy it all. Oh, pumpkin bread. Yum. Hello, Southern to my soul. Welcome. Hold on, I gotta let the doggies out. All right, you guys, come on. Come on. Going crazy. Go. Yes. So I was actually going through thinking about what I'm going to make for Thanksgiving this year, and I almost always make the exact same things, but I do need to work on my grocery list. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a file to keep on my computer that is a grocery list just for my staple dishes for Thanksgiving. That way, all of the things or all of the dishes that I always make, like the corn casserole, the sweet potato casserole, all of those things, I have that list already printed out so that I never forget anything. Because there has been a couple times in the last few years where I've been missing something very important. And yeah, I need to make sure. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Have my Thanksgiving shopping list as a PDF or a Word document or something on my computer. Hello, Eva. Prairie Girl. Welcome. Wendy there. Oh, nice. Ooh, a smoked brisket. Yum. Have you ever had blackberry wine cake? No, I have not. That sounds very good. I love blackberry. Sure, I'll do that. When I make my list, I will put that. I'll put that on my blog. I actually do have a grocery shopping list that's a PDF on my blog. The one that I've used, gosh, for years and years. It's kind of divided up into, the parts of the grocery store. And it's got little boxes, and I just check the box for whatever thing I need. There's a lot of things on there now that I don't really buy anymore, so I kind of need to do an updated version of that. But that particular list has been available on my blog for several years. I think we lived in Alaska when I put that up there. So even if it's not a list that works for you, it might be inspiration for you to make your own version. What I did, because I'm very meticulous about certain things, when I'm going through the grocery store, I go, I zigzag through the aisles. Oh, hold on. Come on. Come on. So I zigzag through the aisles, and now I would have to update this from time to time because we would move, and we usually shop at the commissary, the military commissary, and sometimes they aren't laid out exactly the same. So as soon as I would move someplace, I would look at the commissary and I'd look, okay, at each aisle, what is in each aisle? And then I organized my shopping list according to the order of what was in the aisles. So as I'm going down my list, it's like I'm going through the aisles. And so I would not miss anything. So yeah, that's just how I did it. But it worked, and I would never miss anything because my shopping list was in order of how I walked down the aisles. And so, yeah. Do you put up a tree for Christmas? If so, how close to Christmas do you do it? I actually don't really put up a tree anymore. We really just don't have the room for it. And honestly, with our 4 dogs, I'm afraid we would have broken ornaments all over the place. So I do put out decorations. My decorations are very subtle. I've actually got them out, well, not all of them, but some of them out already because I did an article for the magazine that I write for about DIY Christmas decor. So I mostly just decorate seasonally, and it's just simple decorations. Yep. there's nothing worse than being almost done with your grocery shopping and then remembering something that's all the way at the other end of the store. And so that's exactly why I made that list in the order of everything at the store, in the order of the aisles that I go down, so that I wouldn't have to zigzag. Oh yeah. Yeah, the cats would they'd have a heyday. Now we have actually our indoor cats have never really bothered things like that. You know, when we did put up a tree, the only thing, like Hickory would lay underneath it. That was about it. They never really messed with it. But the dogs, you know, they will periodically try to wrestle in the living room, and I don't let them. They're not allowed to roughhouse in the house. But, you know, if I'm not here, there's no telling what happens when I'm not here, unless I'm looking at my security cameras. But yeah, I'm sure they would just knock stuff over. So it's not worth the risk. And plus, you know, like I said, our house is kind of cozy, and so don't really have the room for it. I usually have 2 or 3 trees, and last year one of my kitties knocked down my 9-foot tree. Oh my goodness, but she never messed with it again. Yeah, she probably learned her lesson. Oh heavens. Hi, Dookie. Yeah. So we had a friend of mine actually invited us to come for Thanksgiving if we wanted to. She's going to have like 30 people at her house. She's like, if you don't want to cook, you can come. I'm like, well, I appreciate the offer, but I am definitely cooking Thanksgiving dinner, especially since Joshua will be here in town. And honestly, I can't imagine not cooking Thanksgiving dinner. It is my favorite holiday of all. It's my favorite holiday. It really is. I don't mind all of the cooking, and you know, I'm doing the whole paleo thing except for Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is my exception because there's just too many good things. Who wants to give up the casseroles and all of that good stuff? And so Thanksgiving, I do make the exception. Yeah, no, there's nothing like having the holidays at home with your family, even if it's just us. Yep. Smoked turkey breast. We actually need to get a new smoker. Mr. Smith he's got a big grill out there. It's a double-sided. One side's gas and the other side is charcoal. And it had the little smoker box thing that you could put inside there, but it just doesn't work that great. We used to have an electric smoker that had these discs that it would just, like, it was like on a timer, and it would just pop it down in there, and so it would just continually smoke. It reminded me, to look at it, looked like a little mini fridge. So it had like a door and it had all the shelves in there. And we had that thing for years. He loved it. And he would smoke things in there. So good. But we need to get a new one because unfortunately we left it in the barn last year or the year before last. And we had that rat infestation in the barn, and they got in there and they chewed it all up, and I wasn't going to put food in there anymore. Go. Oh, look at us. Hello, David. Welcome. You want out too, Cheetah? Go on, baby. Oh, goodness. Yeah, we give an open invitation to everyone we know each year to come over. We moved many hours away from all families 6 years ago, and making our own traditions and fun is fun, but it gets lonely. That's true. You know, while we were still active duty Army, and we would have young soldiers and everything in the unit, we would always have an open invitation for anybody who wanted to come. And a lot of times we would have people take us up on that, especially like when we were stationed in Germany and we were stationed in Alaska, just because we were so far away from everybody. It's so hard to travel away. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, Gardening from Scratch. Have a great week. Thank you. Okay, honey, thank you. Yeah, we loved doing that, having people over, and I've always enjoyed hosting dinners and having people over and cooking for them, because I love to cook, but I really only love to cook if there's people to cook for. You know what I mean? Yeah. Most of the joy I think I get out of cooking is seeing everyone enjoying it. So James is dying to get a new grill. Oh, let's see. Years ago. Yeah. Oh gosh. Yeah. The rodents. They're no fun. And we're actually going to have to go out there in the barn again and clean it out. I don't think we have any rats in there anymore. When we purged it and we cleaned it out and we sealed it up pretty well. And so there hasn't been any signs of anything big getting in there, but I know some mice have been able to sneak inside. So we just need to clean it out real good. And so, I mean, it's a barn. It's going to have mice. I know that's just part of it. I think. I don't think you can have a farm and have chickens and all that stuff and not have some sort of rodents hanging around. That's why we have farm cats. Yeah. We always loved doing that. And when we lived in North Carolina, there was a couple of times where we lived out in the country. And so we would have everybody over, and then we'd do like a bonfire outside. And so it was just good times. I miss, that is one thing I do miss now that we're retired and that we don't have the young soldiers that we associate with anymore. So I do kind of miss being able to host them. Yeah. Quit. Dogs. Quit. No. Like I said, I don't let them wrestle in the house, but boy, they try. They try to push it. Duke and Ute were in there. I could hear them getting started. And it's funny because they know that they're not supposed to do that. And so sometimes they'll start doing it silently, like you can't hear them in their wrestling. They're a mess. Crazy dogs. Yeah. Yeah, just like kids. Oh my goodness. My cat brought in a chipmunk, and they look small until your cat is dragging one around the living room. He took it into the kitchen, and I was scared to get too close, so I got on my kitchen table. Oh my heavens. Oh yeah. Yeah, they have, our dogs have lots of toys, but I think almost all of the squeaky ones have died. There's no squeaky left to them. They are toast. So they still play with them here and again, but there's no squeaking. I do actually need to get them some new toys. There's this one particular brand is called Hyper Pet. I've never seen it in stores anywhere, but a friend of mine recommended it to me a couple years ago because Duke loves toys and he's got those big jaws and he could just demolish toys. I mean, you give him one of those squeaky dog tennis balls, it literally lasts about 10 minutes and it's toast. And so she recommended those Hyper Pet toys to me, and those are the only ones that actually hold up. The one squeaky ball of that we had lasted about 2.5 years. And then the squeaky piece like poked into it. But that's a really durable dog toy breed or brand. So if you've got a dog that likes toys and demolishes them, I would check it out. I got it off of Amazon. So they're like neon green colored, so they're pretty easy to spot. Oh, wow. Eva's going to be cooking for the Amish this week, who are supposed to come build our shop, weather permitting. That is wonderful. Yeah, when we first got Duke, it was about 6 months or so before we moved here to the homestead. He was, a rescue, and he was kind of a backyard dog. He had no socialization or anything like that. And I have a blog post all about him. But the first time he got a squeaky toy, it was like, I'd never seen anything like it. It's like he was just mesmerized, and he had this ball. It was almost like a pacifier. He was laying on the dog bed upside down with this squeaky ball, just laying there, squeak, 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 until he fell asleep. I've never seen anything like it, but yeah, that got a little old though. He would go at it for hours. Let's see. My kids always go to rescue the vermin from the cat clutches. I can't seem to convince them that the animals are beyond helping by the time they see them, as they might as yeah. That's true. Yes, Hyper Pet. That is the brand. Now, the only ones that I've tried though is the little green, neon green squeaking ball. I forget the name of it, but it's, you can see which one it is. It's made by Hyper Pet. And then there's another one. There's another ball. It's not a squeaking ball, but it's a super hard. I don't know what it's made of, what material, but it's a super durable ball. And I mean, they can chew on it, and it might leave some teeth marks, but it doesn't like get demolished like most dog toys would. And so they have actually held up to Duke. They do have other ones, like bone-shaped ones, or the long ones that you like throw and stuff. I haven't used any of those. I don't know if they're as durable. I kind of would think they would be, because I mean the balls are. So, but I can only speak for the ball versions of those dog toys. Aw. Hello, Solomon. It was very nice meeting you at the Homesteaders of America conference. That was a great conference. I had such a ball going there, and I hardly filmed anything because I was so busy talking to people and meeting people. It was wonderful. Oh, that's sweet. And there were so many more people that I met that I didn't even think to take pictures or get video, because I was just enjoying being there. So I definitely want to go again. Yeah, it's definitely worth it. So many, I mean, there's so many people who, and you don't have to be a YouTuber or anything like that. Of course, it was just a great experience, and getting to hear all the speakers, and it was just nice. I mean, you're hanging out with all of these people who have similar interests and mindsets, you know, all from different backgrounds. You know, it's not like we're all cookie cutter, but that we all have a passion for similar things. So it was nice. It was a nice experience. Yeah. Yeah, the Dollywood. Dollywood was a great trip. I wouldn't mind going again. I actually have a friend who decided to go up there after she had watched my videos. She's like, we've never been. We decided that's where we need to go. And so she went and stayed at the resort that I stayed at. And well, she didn't go to the theme park, but she did go to the dinner show that we went to with the pirates and the sea lion and all that. She had a wonderful time. Yeah. I think there's a lot of people who want to be able to homestead and just don't have the ability to do so. And you know, that's completely understandable. And there's many different reasons why someone might not be able to do it. But I think I think it's becoming more and more, not necessarily popular, but I think there's just a draw for it. I think people are just drawn to things that are more simple and more down to earth and real. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've never been to the Stampede. This was my first time going to Pigeon Forge ever. So it was pretty neat. I mean, dropping. Oh, hello, TD. Thank you for stopping in. Yes, it is. And actually, I saw something on. I read something the other day. There was a YouTuber, a homestead YouTuber, who was talking to somebody at YouTube about the changes that they've been doing for the security things for like kids and all of that. And they were told that the homesteading movement and, you know, the small farms and things like that are becoming a much more popular topic on YouTube. And YouTube actually likes that, which is pretty interesting. So you actually see homesteading YouTubers on the trending page now, here and again. So I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, this was my first year going to the Homesteaders of America conference. I bought my ticket as soon as they went on sale last year. So when they did their early bird Black Friday kind of sale, like they've just started advertising for next year. Yeah, it is. You know, you don't have to have a lot of space to do that. You know, we were still active duty Army. We were living in military housing. And I've got some pictures, I think maybe still on my blog, where my back patio was covered in self-watering pots. I had tomatoes, I even had corn growing in pots. I had potatoes growing in Rubbermaid bins that had like holes drilled in them. I had shelves, kind of like boards up on cinder blocks, covered in like flower boxes, but they were full of herbs. You know, I had stuff growing everywhere out there, and we didn't have very much space. I mean, it's a little postage stamp of a backyard, but I had it completely filled with stuff that I could grow and even can. You know, you don't have to have a lot of room to do it. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of homesteaders on YouTube. I'm way more than you could ever possibly watch. I see more and more of them every day. You know, it's pretty cool. Yeah, I might have to pick your brain about the honeybees, because I did go to the workshop that they had there at the Homesteaders of America conference the day before when they were doing all the workshops. I went to the honeybee one at the Honeystead, and so that was fantastic. And we've even got a spot to put them. You know, when she was talking in the beginning about like where she would recommend you putting your bees and things like that, we've got the perfect spot out in the front garden, because the front garden is fenced in. It's got a hot wire around the top, and in the far corner, there's really nothing over there yet. And so I think that's probably the perfect spot to put some honeybees. You know what? Same here, Eva. There is very little TV that I enjoy watching. It's like this time of year they come out with all those new shows, and I'll maybe start watching a few because I think, oh, that looks like it might be pretty good. And then I get like 2 or 3 episodes into it and I'm like, nah, I'm done. I lose interest. And I would much rather spend my time watching things that are enriching and I get something out of. Yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. I think it would be a great spot for them out in the front garden. And I plan on putting more raised beds out there. Gradually, I intend to have a lot of raised beds in both gardens, but it'll only be, you know, like a couple new beds every year, just because that is a lot of work and a lot goes into building those raised beds. So I figure if we add a couple beds each year, then eventually we'll have 2 nice, you know, gardens full of raised beds. And I do a lot of flowers out front just because I love having that. I think it's beautiful. I like looking out my window and just seeing all that, the mix of the veggies and the herbs and the flowers and everything. So yeah, I think that would be the perfect spot to put the honeybees. And I do think that we're probably going to end up putting a hot wire around the big garden as well, just to keep things from getting in there. Oh, thank you. You know, there's a lot of stuff I try to grow and I can't though. I mean, there's things that just don't live in my garden. You know, like this year we had the corn that we planted and it all came up great, but then I got behind with mulching and weeding and all of that, and the grasses swallowed up the corn, and then that was pretty much it. Because corn you got to stay on top of, and we were going to try a second round with it in July, but then we were so busy, we just never got around to doing it, and we're like, well, there's always next year. Yeah, that's what we're basically doing here. When we step out our front door, we've got a porch, you know, on the front of the house. And when you go down the steps to the sidewalk, directly in front of it is the gate for the front garden. So when you're sitting on the front porch, it's almost like you're in the garden. And so that whole, front yard area really is going to be raised beds. There's several out there already, and eventually there'll be more. And then over time, all of the trees that are planted around there, all of those baby fruit trees, can hopefully get established, and it'll look lovely out there. Oh, yep. That's right, Eva. You're never too old to learn. Oh, yes, Cindy, that's right. They do ruin a lot of good movies and TV shows that way. Oh, her neighbors creating essence. Her neighbors are a little bit freaked out just knowing that there's bees there. But even being in close quarters, they're calmly coexisting with everybody. You know, and the thing of it is, just because there's hives there, I mean, it doesn't mean they're going to get stung, because there's bees everywhere. You know, there's all different kinds of bees. So I would be less concerned about some honeybees, I think, than like yellow jackets or ground hornets or something like that. Those would concern me, but not the honeybees. I've got a Shotzi down here. Here, Shotzi. Thank you. I had originally seen those raised beds with the tin siding back, gosh, let's see, the first year that we lived here. The co-op, the extension office down in Coleman County, which is the county to the south of us, they had all sorts of gardening classes. They do that every year, and they had raised beds just like that set up there that they did experiments with, and they kind of like demonstrations and stuff like that. And when I saw that there, I'm like, I loved it. Of course, they had brand new tin and stuff like that, but I was frugal and repurposed some old tin with character, and I just like the look of it, and so saved a little bit of money in the process. But I'm very happy with how they turned out. I would love to have done cedar, like Jess at Roots and Refuge. You know, they've built all the raised beds with cedar posts and things like that, but I just couldn't find cedar around here, so I just used the fence posts, the wood fence posts. I cut them down, concreted them in and all that stuff, and then I used just pressure treated like 2x4s and stuff like that for the framing around them. Yeah, fire ants. Yeah, so we've got fire ants here, and they like to take over things. But when we lived in Texas was my first experience with fire ants, and those fire ants down there are, I think, way more potent than the ones here in Alabama. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you get bit by a fire ant here in Alabama, it does not tickle. But usually, you know, you knock it off and it might itch for a minute or so, and then it's fine. It's no worse than a mosquito bite. I think sometimes mosquito bites are worse. But those fire ants, when we lived in Texas, were horrible. I mean, if you got bit, you'd have a little knot in your skin for a week or more, and it did not, yeah, like you didn't want to itch it or anything like that, because it would just start all over again. So we've got them here, but I think that they have mixed with the native ants so much that they're kind of, their potency has diluted, at least here in Alabama. Now, if you step in some and you get a whole bunch of them, like in your boot or something, that's not going to be fun. But oh yes, chiggers. Oh no, I had a chigger incident a few years ago. Actually, it was the first year that we lived here in this place. Jack had gone rock climbing someplace, and I had apparently walked through some. Not fun. Chiggers, I think, are definitely the worst. Yeah, I like the old tin. I think it gives it character. And I actually, when I was putting the tin up on the sides of the raised beds, I actually turned it around so that the rustier, older looking sides were to the outside, so that you could see that a little bit more. I liked the look of it. And it's kind of neat because, you know, that tin came off of some old buildings, so it's got like the little nail holes and the imperfections and things like that. And I like it. I think the old rusty tin mixed with the lovely like zinnias and all of that stuff. I think I just warms my heart. K. Dean, I've heard of chiggers, but I don't know what they are. Do you know if we have them in New York? I would think they might be in New York. I am not for certain. We did have them when I was a kid in Wisconsin. So I know that they are up north. I just don't know how far up north they go. Mr. Smith just piped up from the living room. He says those stupid things are everywhere. Thank you. Yes, I loved those zinnias this year. I'll probably add a few more varieties next year. But like those mazurkias, oh, I think those were my favorite. And the queen lime zinnias. I might do a few more of those. I think they have like queen orange lime or something like that. I don't know. They've got all sorts of them. I'm going to have to figure out which ones I want to grow this coming year because it'll be hard to whittle it down and make my decision because it's like I want to grow them all. I never thought I would love zinnias as much as I did, but they are so pretty and they just keep making blossoms or blooms, all summer long. Yeah, and I'm definitely going to grow some more of those hibiscus. Those was it hibiscus? No. Roselle, hibiscus roselle that we grew this year out in the big garden. What I would like to do is take the tiller and till like a 2-foot bed. This is kind of a long-term goal. This is what I would like to have eventually. Once I have all of the raised beds in the garden the way we'd like them to be, then what I would love to have is like a 2-foot wide flower bed all the way around the outside of the fence and just fill that whole thing with flowers so that inside the garden it's veggies with a few flowers here and there for the pollinators and stuff, but then have just a frame all the way around the garden of flowers, especially big, full, tall flowers that deer don't like. That's like my dream of what I would love to have someday. So it'll be that's what I want. That's what I want someday. That's what I envision having eventually. But yeah, let's see. Dixie Living Homestead, do you ever let them reseed? Well, this is the first year that I grew the zinnias. I did have some of the plants as they died off in the summer because it got so hot that some of them just did not make it. But there were several of the heads that had fallen down into the garden bed, and they did reseed themselves. So I'm sure there will be some coming back next year on their own. There'll probably be some volunteers. There were some that popped up in the grass where the zinnias had leaned over the sides of the raised beds, and I had I had the Tulsi basil coming up, I had some zinnias coming up, and they were all just kind of coming up wherever they wanted to. Have you ever planted any morning glories? Had some this summer and they were gorgeous. I actually bought some morning glory seeds, but then I didn't plant them because morning glory here grows wild. and it can be invasive. And I didn't know where I wanted to plant them because I wasn't sure where I could let them go and not have to worry about them. We actually have wild morning glories growing out in the pasture. There was some growing on the Japanese bantams coop on their run. It was growing up the fence. So I don't know. I have the seeds. I just don't know if I want to plant them. They are beautiful, though. That they are. And it seems to me that now this might not be correct, but it seems to me that sweet potatoes are actually related to morning glories, that they're in the same family. And that would actually make sense to me because the blossoms from sweet potatoes look very, very similar to morning glories. They're beautiful. Very delicate, purple and white, and only open in the morning. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. I know that they're more closely related to a flower because they're called sweet potatoes, but they're not like even in the same plant family as your typical potato, like Idaho's, russets, red potatoes, gold Yukons. It's a completely different type of plant. It's a vine, So I'll have to look that up, but I'm pretty sure that's what I remember reading. Oh, goodness. So this week I'm going to be working on my deadline is coming up for the magazine that I write for. So I've got to finish up my articles for that and then work on my grocery list for Thanksgiving. And I will, when I get that done, that PDF kind of thing that I talked about, I will post that on my blog. So I will share that like in one of my videos and let you guys know about it. But that's going to be the plan is create a master list of all the ingredients, all of the things that I need for Thanksgiving every year so that I can reference it. So I'll be doing that this week. I've got a couple other things going on. I have an interview to do in the morning. So it's going to be another busy week. But most of the work that I have been talking about that I've been doing on my blog, that stuff is all like, I can breathe now. So now I can just do all the other things that I need to do. And I need to start working on some of my winter projects in the house here pretty soon too, like finishing my ceiling that is still waiting to be shiplapped and the bathroom that's waiting to be painted and all that stuff. So lots of projects. So while we're not working in the garden, it's time to work on things in here and take care of some of the stuff that I've been waiting to do. So that is the plan. But I hope you guys all have a great week. I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up since we are just about to 7 o'clock. And thanks for joining me here again this evening for the Sunday live chat. I do this every week. Well, most weeks, unless I'm traveling or something like that. And it's great having interaction and being able to hang out with all you guys. Thank you. You too. Thanks. All right. You guys have a great week, and I will talk to y'all next time.